And we welcome you to the Cubbie Corner here on SouthBendCubs.com. I'm South Bend Cubs broadcaster Brendan King, just back from Mesa, Arizona and Chicago Cubs spring training. It was a great weekend catching up with players, coaches, and staff from the Chicago Cubs. On today's episode, we will welcome in new South Bend Cubs manager Buddy Bailey from the backfields of the Chicago Cubs complex. Before we get to Buddy's interview, want to remind you that South Bend Cubs individual game tickets are on sale now. You can buy tickets by visiting the Four Winds Field box office, going to SouthBendCubs.com, or call 574-235-9988. Opening night, April 4th at 7:05 against the West Michigan Whitecaps. Here's Buddy Bailey on the Cubbie Corner. And here from Chicago Cubs spring training at the minor league side, Brendan King joined alongside new South Bend Cubs manager. It's Buddy Bailey. Buddy, making your South Bend debut in just about a month. We've got that way till opening day. What excites you about coming to Four Winds Field to work with some of the younger guys?
Well, always you're excited opening day regardless of where you're at, and it's going to be some of these guys' first full year, so they're going to be even busting from the seams with excitement, and everybody wants to have a good first year, obviously. A lot of them played rookie league, which is half a season, so therefore they're going to have to go through the grind of 140. And you know, I'm looking forward to seeing where they start the season, and most important to me is how they look when they finish the season.
Now, you've been in Myrtle Beach the past few years, and obviously great weather down there. Do you have the warm clothes ready for the month of April up in Indiana?
Well, I've managed in Pawtucket in the International League, and we played in Ottawa, Canada, Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, and pretty much all of April to mid-May before they fly us down south. So I've been in some games where it was 17 degrees and wind chill is 0. So I don't still own the same clothes, but I'll figure out real quick what I need to go buy, I'm sure.
Now, coming to South Bend, you have now managed at every full season level in the Chicago Cubs organization: Iowa, Tennessee, the old Daytona, South Bend, and Myrtle Beach. When you look back on it, how interesting is it that you've gotten now to coach at so many levels, including, you know, the bench coach? You were the bench coach for the Red Sox in the major league.
I don't know. I've managed a lot of places, different leagues. This will be my first time actually managing in the Midwest League, but you know, with the Braves, Red Sox, and Cubs, most everything's been on the East Coast, with the exception when I managed Des Moines out in AAA with the Cubs. So it's a different part of the country. I know the weather's going to be somewhat different starting out, but I always say baseball's baseball. The mound's 60 feet, 6 inches. You got 90-foot bases, so we'll see how it all shakes out. But, you know, it's going to be a bunch of young kids coming in, and I look at myself as a school teacher, really. You know, the Midwest League would be like elementary school. We hope that we can educate them enough and let them pass the grades so they can get themselves moved up the ladder, go to junior high school, and ultimately be across the hedges in the university, which would be the big leagues. So we're starting out at the grassroots, like a lot of teachers and mom and dad. You're trying to prep them in the right way, and hopefully they grow up to be what you want them to be.
Now, your year in the big leagues with the Boston Red Sox in 2000 as the bench coach. Talk about that time and just how special it was to call Fenway Park home.
Well, you know, anytime, it's 2 leagues in baseball. You got the minor leagues and the big leagues. And when going back to your first question, where all these different places in the minor leagues you manage, it's all the minor leagues. But the big leagues is a different entity, and obviously accommodations are different and somewhat better. But at the same time, the game is still the same. And I've gone to Venezuela, managed in the big leagues 15 years, and had Miguel Cabrera when he was a 19-year-old kid coming out of A-ball and place, and guys like that down there. But it's all the same, and like I said, different levels are meant for a certain reason where guys' abilities and educational, mentally, and physical abilities are. So all of them have different demands from a manager standpoint and coaching staff, but at the same time, the bottom line, it's baseball, and you try to find a way to let them keep a kid's heart but turn their head into a man's head, and if you can do that, then you're doing your job.
Does that allow you, you know, you talk about the same game at each level, does that allow you to take similar approaches no matter who you're coaching?
And in a lot of ways, because even some guys at AA, AAA are somewhat still immature in areas, but they excel in others. But what they excel in, they consistently do it good enough to keep moving up. But there's always some areas that players need improvement at every level. But the off the field things change drastically from the Midwest League to AAA or the big leagues. You know, those guys are married, have kids. A guy comes in and tells you, I'll be late tomorrow. I got to go with my wife to the doctors, the baby's due in a month. And usually when you're down at the lower levels, you don't deal with that stuff. You might have to deal with a guy having problems with a girlfriend back home, but you're not dealing with a wife and child that's on the way.
Now, just a couple weeks ago, MILB published a new document. You are now the active leader of managers and wins in the MILB. What does that mean to you to be on top of that list?
It just means I've been around doing it a long time, but you know, baseball's not like football or basketball. When you have a lot of wins in baseball, it means you got a lot of losses too. So I may lead the most active managers in losses too. I don't know that, but you know, it's another year. I really don't think about it. A couple people have made a comment about that, but I think it's like a player. As long as you're active and your goal is to do what you have to do now in the present, and when you're done and you have time to recollect and look back, then it'll probably mean a lot more to me than it does right now.
Well, buddy, we can't wait to have you at Four Winds Field in South Bend. Opening day coming right up on April 4th against the West Michigan Whitecaps. Thanks for taking some time. Enjoy the rest of spring training. We'll see you in about a month.
We'll be there, and hopefully the fans come out and they're there with us too.
That's new South Bend Cubs manager Buddy Bailey from spring training. This is Brendan King. We'll get back with you more with content from spring training next week.